Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is G. You're watching Astrology. This is the week, the last days of 2025. There we are, December 29th, and the following 7 days. This is the end of 2025. Felt like 25 years, but we made it, even though it was just 365 days. I don't know about y'all, but yeah, I do feel a little bit older than a year older. I feel a little bit older. Time and how things can be heavy, right? You know, time moves fast when you're having a good time, but when it's not such a great time, it's like it just goes on and on. Well, that takes us to Capricorn energy, Saturn energy. Yes, we've got Saturn front and center. This is a big shift into the new year. The 2025 energies were giving us previews of what was to come because we had, you remember, right? We had Saturn and Neptune and Aries already for a little bit, right? They played around at the 1 and 2 degrees. They gave us a sample of that energy, right? Then they went back into Pisces. We had Uranus sitting in Gemini at the 0 and 1 degrees for a little while, right? And then it went back into Taurus. So we were given little previews of 2026 because in 2026, Uranus will go into Gemini and it will stay there. It'll never go back into Taurus again. Well, not now anyway. It's going to spend the next 7 years in Gemini energy. So that's going to change values and money and the way we look at money and the way that, like, things that we value, because that's, Uranus energy says, let's wake up. Let's look at something differently. Let's try something unique and different and never been done before. So with that then is the Saturn and the Neptune in government energy, institutional energy, right? And so that kind of is where we're at with these final days of 2025. Mercury, stress and tension squared up with Neptune can create tricky travel. Not just travel delays, but Neptune can make things cloudy, fuzzy, confusing. So if we're traveling, whether by land in the car or by air, because you know, somebody wants to go to that New Year's Eve bash, right? Be careful. I have a travel thing up here until January 1st. Okay. So you just want to be on the alert and expect possibly delays and make sure you pencil in and account for more time, whether it's a flat tire or a car thing, something acting up, whatever it might be, fender bender, because confusing Neptune really convolutes, really makes it fuzzy, makes the information fuzzy, makes our brain fuzzy. So it's a time of being careful. So there's a lot of serious, serious energy at play here. And that's just to kick the week off. Like this, everything stays in Capricorn. Juno, Venus, the Sun, Mars, these planets don't leave Capricorn for the next 7 days. So this is very much about duty and responsibility, and we're definitely thinking long-term goals. So we might not, we're looking closer at the budget, right? We're figuring out more practical, rational, logical things to do where we can cut corners, or things where we're just being smart because we have a long-term goal. All right. Now, this can be work for sure because this is corporations. And when you have slow down energy, right? Now, I'm only mentioning that because companies and corporations, especially at the new year, right? That comes a time where there is less money. The consumers have, kind of outspent themselves. But the previous week showed it, we had some very savvy consumers during a time like the few days before the holiday where people usually kind of amp up their spending, more slowdowns than normal, right? Which would mean possibly layoffs or whatnot. The nodes are where we're headed now. The north node, we're getting low in the numbers here. They're at 11. This was the shock on the surprise degree. That was last week. This 11 degrees, the nodes change this week. They will go from 11 to 10. And that happens Tuesday, Wednesday. The nodes go from 11 degrees, which is unconventional, different, new, surprising group energy, to 10 degrees, which is the Capricorn degree. So this is a week that is super dominated, serious energy, very serious, very mature type of energy. It's dominated by Capricorn in so many ways. Number 10 is Saturn. Number 10 is Capricorn. So even the nodes are carrying the serious vibration, the goals, the acknowledgement and recognition, the hard worker, the boss, the CEO. That's the same vibration. All right. So with that is the responsibilities, the seriousness and the duty bound. Like I have to keep working at this, right? I have to keep pushing through. I got to diligently just keep climbing that ladder. It's the worker. It is the worker. But corporations will be huge here, okay? Because it's just all about that. And Mercury will go into Capricorn this week. So that happens, right? But not until after Mercury hits 29 degrees. So on Wednesday, that would be, I believe, New Year's Eve, Mercury's at a critical degree. It's at 29 degrees in Sagittarius. So again, that's that exact square to Pisces. So we're being cautious with travel. But at critical degrees at 29, the billionaire degree, normally there's decisions, choices, options, normally something, right? And that's with whether it's traveling or beliefs about my future. It's all there, but it's confusing because of Neptune energy, Neptune in Pisces. Adds the clouds of illusions and confusions and delusions. And I just want to go to sleep. And I didn't see those details. I didn't see the fine print. Oh, how did I make that mistake? You've heard it. You've been there. You've said it. I have. So when we get to the first, Sirius Mercury, my mind, my information, the news, what we're hearing and talking about, coworkers, neighbors, it goes into Cappy. Very serious Mercury now. Serious words, serious conversations, goals and jobs and money and financials is a big deal for this whole week. Venus and the sun. These two are connected like this right now in this chart. And they travel holding hands, meaning Venus is burned up. She is cazimi with the sun. And yes, anything that travels within 10 degrees before or after the sun is technically what we call a cazimi, where we don't necessarily see the energy of that planet. Venus is your money and your values. So it's like, where's the money? Where's the values? Where's the peace? Where's the harmony? Where's the goodness? Like that's Venus. Remember, she's real serious and cappy. She's more hard and rigid and cold. It's not the normal, soft and pleasing and pleasant Venus. This is a very like an older person, female, feminine energy, boss energy, serious, goal and duty bound Venus. So with her being hand in hand with the sun for the next 7 days and further, it's just a very serious time. And having a heads up should help to kind of, to just understand this is what the energy is and it will pass. It will take some time, but because Venus can bring gifts, she can make things beautiful and pleasant, pleasing, harmonious. Venus is the one who's all about the senses and taking care of our needs. Like, I need to have that. I need to have this. That's my favorite food. Those are my favorite clothes. I like the way that feels on my body. I like the sound, the smell, the taste. That's Venus. These are all the little extras in life that that give us joy, that give us joy. So Venus and the Sun conjunct, cazimi, holding hands until February. Okay, until I think the first 10 days of February, right? After that, Venus starts to pull ahead. Again, Venus is also your income and your finances and your money. All right. So that's important to keep in mind. This is that heads up now because I have to plan for a rainy day, right? That's that smart Venus planning ahead. Uranus, right? It's at 28. It's at the public degree, 28 degrees. And with 28 degrees, we're just we're just we're just being aware that it's going to pass, that 28, the emotions and the family and the shocks and the surprises with values and possibly with food. Because the sticker price type of stuff, right? This Uranus will go to 27 degrees and it's retrograde, and that's where it stops. It stops. I think that'll be I want to say February, that it goes direct at 27. But when we get closer, we'll talk about it. The point is, it's a reprioritization of values and money and banking, and literally values. Literally, like in one hand I have cash, one hand I have credit. And one in another hand, I'll get another person in here. In another hand, they're holding silver and gold in their hand, like coins. And another hand, I've got my phone and I've got like Bitcoin and I've got like Ethereum. I've got crypto stuff. I've got meme coins, whatever. So there's a lot of different things, including investments and stocks, right? There's a lot of different things we're looking at in terms of who and what we value. All right. Remember that Venus that we were just looking at, that's Conzimi, the sun? She rules this Taurus energy. Okay, so just understand the implications and the added additional details of where Saturn and my long-term finances and values and money and security, financial security, stability, right, which really helps us with our emotional security and our emotional stability when the money's right. It's not the end all be all, but it absolutely, absolutely gives us a certain amount of freedom and gives us more options. And it's one less thing we have to worry about. And that's the magic of money. That's the magic of it. So, with that said, we're going to Jupiter because we're talking about the public. And Jupiter this week on Saturday goes from 21 degrees, goes from the Jupiter degree, which is really strong, right? Jupiter at 21. So hopefully it's infusing us with hope and goodness, right? Hopefully we can see the long-term stability. It's within our sight. And hopefully we're just focused and we're really honing in on what we're really good at and what we need in our life and who we need and really what are our priorities. And have I had to reprioritize from a year ago? Have my values changed? Right? Because it's coming down to your beliefs. All that Sagittarius energy, but yeah, the beliefs, it has to do with the beliefs of the public as well. The moon energy, feminine energy, and women. Whole lot of stuff here, right? Whole lot of stuff. So we go from 21 to 20. 20 degrees is Scorpio. This is our shared values. 20 degrees, Scorpio energy, our shared values. Okay? It's the public's shared values, the public's shared sentiments. What is it that we need for emotional stability, emotional security? What are we thinking about in terms of our future in politics and politicians and how that affects our everyday world? Are we thinking about it? What about our freedoms, especially for women and minorities, immigrants, immigration? Absolutely. So for this week in general, even though it's kind of like the party week because it is New Year's, it will have a different tone to it. It will have a different tone. It is a little bit more sobering. And to top it all off, if I already didn't mention this, the Saturn in Pisces at 26 degrees. You see that? It just flipped to 26 on Monday, today, like the day of this video in the following 7 days. It went from 25 to 26. Remember, Saturn is rules and regulations and corporations and structure. And so it has to do with the government and institutional energy because it's in Pisces, but it has to do with money and finances because 26 is the Venus degree. You see? So this week will give us basically like the blueprint for what has been changed and what is being forever changed. And the new policies, the new regulations has to do with finances and values for sure.